Hello, Elaine. Welcome. How am I coming in? Internet okay? Can you hear me? Any problems? Hello, millionaire. Welcome. All right, thank you. We'll just give it some time to allow people to come in. Hello, Douse. It's just turning 8 o'clock here now, so give it a few minutes. Hello, Robert. Welcome. Bell works. All good. Hello, Amy Christine. Welcome. Hello, KJ. We're just giving some time for people to come in. Although I think we're good enough to at least start the chanting. So for those who want to follow along, link is in the chat. And we are on page 97. We're going to do Gautami Sutta today. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Ekang samayang bhagavas salayang viharati mahavane kutagara nasalyang attako mahapajapati gotami yena bhagavate upasankamitva bhagavantang abhivadetva ekamantang attasi ekamantang titako mahapajapati gotami bhagavantang etadavocha Sadhu me bante bhagava sankittena dhammang desetu yang ahang bhagavato dhammang sutva ekavupakatta va appamatta atapini pahittatta vihareyanti Yeko tvang gotami dhamme jane sai ime dhamma saragaya samvattanti no viragaya samyogaya samvattanti no visamyogaya achayaya samvattanti no apachayaya mahichataya samvattanti no apichataya asantuttiya samvattanti no santuttiya sanganikaya samvattanti no pavivekaya kosojaya samvattanti no viryarambaya dubharataya samvattanti no subharatayati ekang sena gotami dharayasi neso dhammo neso viniyo netang sattu sasananti ye chako tvang gotami dhamme janeyasi eme dhamma viragaya samvattanti no saragaya visangyogaya samvattanti no sangyogaya apachayaya samvattanti no achayaya apichataya samvattanti no mahichataya santuttiya samvattanti no asantuttaya pavivekaya samvattanti no sanganikaya viryarambaya samvattanti no kosajjaya subharataya samvattanti no dubharatayati ekang sena gotami dharayasi ekso dhammo eso viniyo eso santussasanati. All right, English. The discourse to Gotami. At one time, the Sublime One was staying at Vaisali, in the peaked Ruth Hall, in the great forest. Then Mahapajapati Gotami approached the Sublime One, and having bowed down to the Sublime One, stood to one side. As she was standing to one side, she said, "It would be good, Venerable Sir, if the Sublime One would teach me the Dhamma in brief, so that, having heard the Dhamma from the Sublime One, I might dwell alone, secluded, diligent, earnest, and resolute. Gotami, of these qualities of which you may know, these qualities lead to passion, not to dispassion, to being fettered, not to being unfettered, to self-aggrandizement, not to self-effacement, to overweening ambition, not to modesty, to discontent, not to contentment, to entanglement, not to seclusion, to laziness, not to arousal of energy, to being burdensome, not to being unburdensome. You, Gotami, may definitely hold, this is not the Dhamma, this is not the Vinaya, this is not the teacher's instruction. As for those qualities which you, Gotami, may know, these qualities lead to dispassion, not to passion, to being unfettered, not to being fettered, to self-effacement, not to self-aggrandizement, to modesty, not to overweening ambition, to contentment, not to discontent, to seclusion, not to entanglement, to arousal of energy, not to laziness, to being unburdensome, not to being burdensome. You, Gotami, may definitely hold, this is the Dhamma, this is the Vinaya, this is the teacher's instruction. All right. Let's see who has joined us. We have a couple other friends. Adriana, welcome. Okay, friends, welcome to Dhammapalooza, the last one in the mountains. Well, last week was supposed to be the last one in the mountains, but impermanence happened, right? So who knows? This could be the last one ever, because I might not be alive next week. Who knows? So welcome to Dhammapalooza. Probably nobody who is brand new here. Wait. Oh, such a great suit. Yes, Adriana, very good. And it has a good message too, right? So for those of you who might be brand new, who might not be in the chat, I see pretty much everybody in the chat I've is a old timer. Oh, Steve. This is somebody I don't think I've met before. Hello, Steve. So what we do on Dhammapalooza every Monday night from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern, well, it does change depending on where I'm at because I am living a bit of a nomad life. So wherever I have a internet and my laptop with me, then it'll be 8 to 10 whenever that is. So what we do here is a variety of things. It's called the Dhammapalooza. Palooza is like a festival, right? So we have a festival of Dhamma. We do a variety of things. We did some chanting to start off. All right, we're going to do towards the end, we're going to do a guided meditation. And what happens in between is often up to you guys, right? So what I like to do with Dhammapalooza is a community event. It's not just about me. It's not, you log in and you hear me yap at you for a couple hours. That's not how it works, right? So what Dhammapalooza is is a community event, right? This means that you can talk to each other in the chat, type in the chat, no problem. That's not interrupting me. That's not being bothersome, right? You can talk to each other while I'm talking, also no problem, right? I keep an eye out in the chat. And also what I like to do in the beginning of every Dhammapalooza is remind you guys that you have a say in how every Dhammapalooza is different, right? And you guys have a say in how this is going to go. Sometimes it ends up being a big Q&A. Sometimes nobody has anything to say, so we read suttas. Sometimes somebody gives me a topic, so I give a Dhamma talk, right? So each time is a little different. So right now is the time that if you have any questions you'd like to ask me related to Buddhism, meditation, Dhamma, monasticism, etc., and you can type that in the chat. If you have any topics that you'd like me to discuss or the community to discuss, you can type those in the chat, right? If you're brand new and you'd like to give yourself a little introduction, like maybe how you found the channel and are you a brand new practitioner? Do you consider yourself a Buddhist, etc.? Whatever you're willing to share with the community, you're welcome to do that as well. And so I'll keep an eye out in the chat for the next couple minutes. And if I don't see anything going on in the chat, then we'll do some reading. Adriana says, yeah, we're reeling us in by this is the last one in the mountains. Well, I hope eventually when if the whole Colorado thing works out and I can have the mountains, then as long as the weather's able, Morning Monastery Experience is going to have the mountains. Dhammapalooza is going to have the mountains. I like outside. So, but can't guarantee it. We'll just have to see what happens. Yeah, welcome to the club, Steve. I don't know what club this is, but that's fine. Robert says, does Mahapajapati go to me? Buddha's stepmother. Yes. Technically Buddha's aunt, because she was one of the, as far as I can understand, she was one of the consorts of his father, right? So when Queen Maya, or really wasn't a queen, the queen thing is kind of added later, but when his mother Maya dies, right, Mahapajapati Gautami, breastfeeds the Buddha and takes care of him and essentially becomes his foster mother, right? And so later on, she also is the first woman to go up to the Buddha and ask to be ordained, right? So she becomes the mother of the Bhikkhuni Sangha. She is the first woman to be ordained in the Dhamma. All right. Sure, Elaine. Yeah, ask a question. No problem. A millionaire is like, ask and you may be answered. Ask and you may receive. All right. What's the deal with Robert asked another good question. See, Robert is carrying you guys. Right, Adriana? Right? What were you saying last week? Ask lots of questions so we don't have to read suttas. That stems from a monastery that I visited, a Thai forest monastery, very strict Thai forest monastery, where they have an evening session with the Ajahn, and people can ask questions. And if they ask enough questions and it gets late enough, then you get out of having to do chanting. So when I visited there, the monks and the lay people were like, ask Ajahn lots of questions. So, I guess they like the chanting, but if they didn't have to do it, I get it. I get it myself, to be honest with you. But anyway, so this is where this comes from. As long as there's questions, no, we still might do some reading anyway. So Robert had a question. Oh, Steve's saying he's followed lots of my teachings over the last couple of years. Oh, nice to know. Are you a Bhavana person? Have you been to Bhavana maybe? Steve? Okay, where did that Robert? What's the deal with the third rule? I've heard it translated as sensual misconduct. So it is sexual misconduct, right? The kamesu michachara. Michachara means misconduct, wrong deed. Kamesu, kama can mean, essentially kama it's the same word from kamachanda, one of the hindrances, right? We were talking about the hindrances recently, right? It's the same word, and it means sensual pleasures, right? Sensual desires. Most explicit, like if you look it up in the dictionary, it'll say sensual desires, most explicitly sexual desire, right? Now, if you look up when the Buddha says, and what is kamesu michachara? He goes, it is one engages in sexual activity with one who is protected by their family, one who is protected by their Dhamma, one who is married, one who wears a wreath, and one who entails punishment. Right? So the Buddha's direct definition for the third precept is sexual misconduct. Right? So this is but more modern, and they kind of like, I don't know where this whole sensual misconduct thing came from. It's not really what it means. And also, strong restraint of the senses is not necessarily something that the Buddha really overly teaches to lay people. Right? The Buddha says that lay people are endowed with the 5 chords of sensual pleasures, and they enjoy the 5 chords of sensual pleasures. Now, of course, even if you are a lay person, if you want to follow the path, then restraint of your senses is part of the path, right? But it's not part of the precepts. That wouldn't make sense, right? And plus, it also wouldn't make sense because the precepts are all about your interactions with other people. Not killing, not stealing, not lying. You could argue that you lie to yourself, which I do, because I think that is a big thing. But this is really about lying to other people. Like the Buddha gives the examples of lying in like if a judge comes and you say, I didn't see when you saw, or you saw when you didn't see, etc. Right? So it's really about other people. Even the 5th one, right, is about other people, right? Because drinking alcohol, you can be unskillful. So I guess you could technically say sense restraint can be beneficial to others, but that's more of an internal, subtle practice, right? So it doesn't really fit within the precepts that it will be sensual misconduct. It's sexual misconduct. And so again, right, protected by their family and friends, right? So this would be somebody who's a minor, right? Obviously not having sex with somebody who's a minor. And also it could mean like people who are older that are not really able to consent, right? Like maybe somebody who's like a Down syndrome's person or something like that, where they are essentially in the care of their family their whole life, right? So that they can't really, they I don't want to say that a Down syndrome person can't consent, because I think that they can, if I'm not mistaken. But it's essentially, this is the point, right? It's basically if you're under the care of family, then you don't mess with that person, right? Same somebody who's married, right? Somebody who's engaged, right? These things, right? So again, this is all about other people as well, right? Because not only do these acts, somebody who's protected by their Dhamma, i.e. a monk or a nun, right? So all of these people, it's unskillful to engage in sexual misconduct with, because it's harmful to you, it's harmful to those people, and it's harmful to the community and the people who are close to those people, right? So the 5 precepts are all about essentially how you're living in the world. Right. So sensual misconduct is not a precept. It is something that if you want to practice, you can. But it doesn't fit with the precepts. All right. Looking for Elaine's question. Oh, we have some somebody from Arkansas, Sekapada, who used to be in the Discord group. Oh, well, welcome. TK. Oh, chat just jumped here. Hello, John. Welcome. A millionaire's getting impatient. Where's that question, Elaine? Okay, here's the question from Elaine. I ask because if I think of dropping the F-bomb towards an unmasked person in the grocery store who is not socially distancing but keeping my mouth shut, I am not creating bad karma effect, right? So, Elaine, when you have the impulse to do it, right, but you refrain from doing it, that's your karma. That's your intention, right? Because of anger or whatever, you might have this feeling towards somebody. But if you refuse to act on that, you have created good karma, right? Because you have realized this is unskillful. I don't want to follow through with this because it'll be harmful to myself and others. Let me abandon this. Right? So it's very important to understand that just because a thought arises in your mind. Now, if that thought comes up and you're like, yeah, those people, I hate those people, and that person, and you keep going off on that, that's your karma, because you have that impulse. You have accepted that impulse and you have run away with it, and you've built it up. You keep building it up, building it up, building it up. That's your karma, right? And eventually, as you keep doing that, one of these days that'll happen again, and you'll lash out at the person physically, right? Because you've built that up, right? You've accepted all kinds of lies and justifications of why you should be this way towards that other person, right? So, but if you see this and you understand it, you reflect on it, this is unskillful. It will not lead to my benefit and the benefit of others. I should abandon this. Then that's your karma. That's good karma. Elaine says, so why would I create good karma effect just by thinking and wishing somebody well? You don't. That's not, well, it is karma, right? Because it meant you're mentally developing a mind of goodwill, right? But it's not an action karma. It's not like you go out and you, I don't know, open the door for somebody or help somebody or something like that, right? So it's karma, but it's not. It's karma of the mind, right? It's karma that leads to skillful actions in the future. So it's good. It's very good to do that. And less unskillful actions, less bad karma. Oh, chat chunk. So just to check, it's kind of quite pouring and stuff. Supposedly there's a tornado warning in West Virginia. I don't know, whatever. So just if there's anything going on, like in terms of my connection, say it in the chat for me so I know. All right. Robert Martin, back to the precepts. What does one who entails punishment mean? That's a good question. Nobody really knows. Some people have made educated guesses. Commentaries say stuff about it, but it's essentially like whoever in the society, if there's a punishment related to engaging in sexual activity with them, then there's a punishment. So it could depend on the society, I guess. Mental karma, yeah. Thoughts, words, and deeds. It's all karma. Your words and your deeds stem from your mind, right? So that's why you practice, you develop your mind, you develop metta to go against ill will, you develop satipatthana to be able to see with wisdom, right? And then that allows you to speak and act skillfully. Robert has an interesting set of questions. Adriana says, so Bante, mental karma works differently than physical karma? No, not necessarily. See, what I was thinking of Vinaya when I was talking. So like in the monastic rules, right? Like if you think about killing somebody, it's not a breach of the rule for killing somebody, right? So it's like it doesn't have the same level, I guess. I don't know. It's hard for me to explain. I might have just kind of went off on a tangent that I probably can't save myself from. So, but like just simply having a thought arise, an impulse, that's not karma. That's not, because that's not intention. And even if you do have an intentional thought, that is karma, right? But what? It is karma, but this is an interesting one. You're not really performing an action against somebody if the action is a thought in your mind. You're harming yourself and you're developing your mind to the point where you could harm another person from that initial seed in your mind. right? But you shouldn't worry about, oh my God, my mind is this, or I thought about this. Now I've created horrible karma, and then I'm a horrible person, right? No, because all kinds of stuff happens in the mind, and we've all thought there's many things that we've thought in our minds that we would never want even our closest friends to know. We would never say some of the things that have gone through our minds, even to our closest friends, right? That's the nature of the mind. There's lots of stuff in that mind. There's lots of stuff that comes out, right? So I wouldn't get too worried over that. What you should reflect on is that like the Buddha says in Vedavitaka, the 2 kinds of thought sutta, whatever a person dwells upon, that shall become the nature, the inclination of their mind, right? So you want to practice, develop mind of metta, mind of wisdom, etc. No, this is good. I like being twisted, because actually this is why I like giving people the option to ask questions or give me topics, because you don't get tested if you just do what you're comfortable with, right? When somebody, I loved it, Bhavana, when somebody asked me a question, you could see some of my questions on the YouTube channel, I had to stop and think for a little bit to give an answer, right? So that's a good thing. I have no problem with that at all. I like being stumped because it helps me be better. All right. And it helps me also to think of better, more clear ways to explain things. But let me go back here before we get, Robert had a question. These are big questions. I don't know. And I'd have to think about them. Is there an aspect of the Dhamma that is underemphasized, ignored, that should get more attention? Yes. Gratification, danger, and escape. I'd listened to 100 hours or more of Dhamma talks, and I had never heard any monastic talk about gratification, danger, and escape. I had to find that out for myself in the suttas. And I said, what the heck is this? This is an amazing teaching. Why is this not being taught? Why is nobody talking about gratification, danger, and escape? Right? So that's one example. There's a couple other examples. I also think that it would be way more beneficial if people talked about the Noble Eightfold Path like I do. Because I think in the early suttas, that's kind of what it is. More like I'm going to talk about being an avatar of the path, really living the path. How do you live the path in your daily life? That is very important for people. It's important for people to understand, so that you kind of model it for them so they understand how to do it and the path to do it and all that kind of stuff, right? Becoming an avatar of the path is very important. I think that's it for that. Is there an aspect that is overemphasized that should maybe get less attention? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, so much of the Dhamma, it should be very emphasized and often. It's more of a problem of things that should be emphasized that aren't. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna. There's not one thing. I'm thinking of various things in my mind that I would say this should be underemphasized, and yeah, no, I don't see anything, because it's all very important. A millionaire with a perfect comment. Perfect comment. I love it, a millionaire. Rather than overemphasize, I would say that mindfulness is too often taken out of context of Buddhism. Yes, agree, 100%. All right. Oh, Bala Gautam, welcome. Hello. Robert is taking up the mantle of Chris, who's in his secluded retreat, and asking people to like the stream and stuff like that. Very well. Every Buddhist stream, every Buddhist channel, you should like, right? All those videos, because the more likes, the more monastics and stuff will be on the algorithm, right? So you should be liking every Buddhist channel you listen to, bhikkhus, bhikkhunis, whatever. Like the videos. Let them be more in the algorithm. Let the Dhamma flow on YouTube. Elaine says, loving kindness meditation is mental, not action. So how does it allow one to gain merit if there is no action? Because of its benefits, right? The Buddha, I think this might be in the Dhammapada, where the Buddha says that you could donate 500 jars of food in the morning, 500 jars of food in the afternoon, 500 jars of food in the evening. And even all of that would not be worth an inch of a finger snap of practicing metta, right? So practicing metta is more beneficial and meritorious than doing all of that generosity, right? That's how powerful metta is. Why? Because it allows you to abandon your anger. It allows you to act more skillfully, less harmful to people. That's why. Merit should not be seen as like this thing you accrue, like a bank account, right? Like you're oh, ching 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 ching, oh, merit. Merit should not be seen in that way. Merit simply means skillful action, right? When you do skillful action, then that is developing of good karma that will lead to good results. Merit is simply skillful action. What is skillful? Practicing dana is skillful. Practicing metta is skillful. Practicing anapanasati, satipatthana is skillful. That is all meritorious. Buddha says there's three. Let's see, do I remember the Pali? Punya Karyavatu, I think. Yeah. There's three bases for meritorious activity: dana, sila, bhavana. Dana, generosity. Sila, living by virtuous principles. Bhavana, developing the mind, are three bases for meritorious activity. Oh, jump again. Whoa, I think that was a big jump. Whoa, Shab is here. Welcome. That was like 20 minutes ago. What happened? All right. Wouldn't thoughts be responsible for many nonverbal cues that could be picked up by others, which would, in a sense, be communicating your thoughts? yes and no. I mean, you could be like you're angry and you're kind of like you're shaking. You're trying to breathe, right? And somebody could see that you're angry. But what are you doing? You're not allowing it to cause you to cause harm, right? With your words or your physical actions. So it's like, whatever. If somebody sees that, that's okay. So they know that you're angry. Big deal. But the fact that you're able to be just some weird, it looks like it's snowing in here. I don't know what's going on all of a sudden. But because you're able to restrain yourself, even if you don't look all calm and serene physically, that's still a very good, skillful thing. Douse comes in with a good comment. What arises does not have to be a problem or a bad or good thing. Rather, what we do about it, whether we go with it or not. Yeah. No problem, Elaine. Feel free to ask any questions anytime. All right. Oh, jump. Mindfulness, sati means memory. So I wonder what you remember outside of the Dhamma. Sati has a dual meaning. It has the meaning of recognizing, remembering. It also has the meaning of being aware, right? So it has a dual meaning, but they both are part of the practice, right? Because you have to remember to be mindful. All right. Sati is a mental quality. It's the act of cognizing something, right? We're understanding that it's there. Right? It doesn't, but sati by itself is miccha sati, meaning wrong sati. Sati has to go, for it to be samma sati, the seventh factor of the Noble Eightfold Path, has to have sampajanya, clear comprehension, atapi, diligence. Right? It has to have all these other qualities together with it, right? Because so sati is cognizing the object. Sampajanya is comprehending the object, right? Two different things. Comprehending the object allows you to discriminate, to say this is skillful, this is unskillful, this is unbeneficial, this is beneficial, to see it as it is, right? Sati is just simply bare cognizing. All right. Yeah, Elaine, in the Buddhist world, it is, many people do kind of think of merit as like a bank account, but that's not really what it is, especially in the early texts. It's not this thing that you're like, oh yeah, let me ching, 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 right? And then you develop lots of merit and you're like Scrooge McDuck and you jump into your merit vault, swim around in it, enjoy your merit. No, that's not how merit works. The Davis are raining cherry blossoms on me. I guess. I don't know what it was. I don't know what's going on. But anyway. Adriana Bunte, could you speak on adaptability on the path? Like when life starts throwing things at you that kind of make you and your practice on and off cushion have to adopt? Well, if you look at it like everything is teaching you, and if you look at it like everything is you can investigate everything in your experience, you can practice satipatthana for everything in your experience, then it doesn't matter what happens. You can practice, right? You have to start from that base of anything that happens, I can investigate. Anything that happens, I can learn from. I can develop my wisdom from. Right? That's where Ajahn Chah's whole, everything is teaching you is, right? Everything. There's not one thing in experience that you can't use to investigate Dhamma. Not one thing. Right? There's not one activity that you can't use to investigate Dhamma. Whatever you do. Whatever you do. Working, running, exercising, gardening, engaging in, what would you call it? Samma kamesu, I don't know. Skillful sexual activity, whatever you do, you can use as an investigation. Right? You can investigate it. You can know it. You can apply gratification, danger, and escape. You can apply arising, persisting, and ceasing. Right? This is how you develop your wisdom, your insight. So that's the first thing, is you start with that mindset that there's not one thing that you can investigate. So whatever is happening in your life, your practice doesn't need to change in that regard. Now, maybe the schedule that you meditate changes, right? Maybe you meditate less, right? Like officially, it's like sitting down meditating, anapanasati. But if you have that mindset, then you never stop practicing. Doesn't matter what it is. Right? You're going through horrible sickness, so you can't sit. You're caregiving somebody who's really sick, or maybe they're going through their death, whatever. This doesn't matter what it is. Maybe you can't officially, I'm going to officially sit. I'm going to officially walking meditate. Maybe you can't do that. You can still practice. Right? That's the number one thing. So when you have that mindset, doesn't matter what happens. Doesn't matter what happens. Now, in terms of techniques, in terms of specific things that you do, sometimes you reach plateaus, right? Where what worked for you for a long time doesn't work for you anymore. And that's a time where you have to do some testing, some investigating, right? Trying to see, maybe you have to tweak things here and there. Or maybe that practice has led you as far as it's going to lead you right now, right? And it's going to be there. Maybe you need to focus on something else. You still do that previous practice. Maybe you have to change it around a little bit. You still do it though. Like, for instance, you never, like Anapanasati and Satipatthana, you never just go, I've reached the end of Anapanasati. No, you haven't. I've reached the end of Satipatthana. Are you awakened? No? Okay, no, you haven't reached the end of it, right? But maybe up to a certain point, you need to focus on something else. Right? The same thing, even with Metta. Right? Like, I was blissing out in Metta for years, and then that kind of went away, and it's hard. Metta's a lot harder for me than it used to be. And it's not really as much of my practice as it used to be. Right? And that's okay. Right? So eventually I'll probably get back into it more. There'll be a time where it'll be more needed, more impactful, more whatever. I don't know. Right? So you kind of have to, over the years, as you practice, you will develop the ability to understand the tools you use and when you need to adjust and tweak, when you need to lay something aside for now and focus on something else more. Right? You'll see that. You'll understand that kind of ebb and flow in your practice. Right? And then you'll adjust in that way. Oh, the chat died. Is the chat? What? Okay. All right. Okay. So I guess that we have gone up to it. Let's read a sutta. This one's not too long, but I think it's been a little while since we read a sutta. This one is about the 5 hindrances, which works because that's what we've been doing, right? That's been our daily prompt topic. So this is one of the most important suttas to know when you're studying the hindrances. Yeah, see, Adriana, a millionaire is like how you used to be before you became a grizzled practitioner of suttas. A millionaire is like you years back when you were fresh-faced and excited about things. I'm playing with you. But even the suttas, after you've read like all the suttas, it's kind of like, again? Like, should I be reading these more still? And the answer is yes, right? But even me, it's kind of like, how many times have I read this sutta? Like, my mind will be like that. It's like, well, got to read it again. Keep reading the suttas. So, but this is about nutriment. This is about how you feed the hindrances and how you starve the hindrances. So let's read. At Savati, Bhikkhus, I will teach you the nutriment and the denourishment in regard to the 5 hindrances and the 7 factors of enlightenment. Listen to that. And what, bhikkhus, is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen sensual desire, kamachanda, and for the increasing and expansion of arisen sensual desire? Right. So now this is the Buddha saying, so what stupid things are you doing that increases sensual desire in you? There is, bhikkhus, the sign of the beautiful. Subha. A nimitta subha, really. Or subha nimitta. Frequently giving careless attention to that is the nutriment for the arising of the unarisen sensual desire and for the increasing and expansion of arisen sensual desires. Right? So, KJ, all the suttas are about 5,000 pages. And if you try to read one sutta a day, you'll get through them in a couple years. It took me about 3 years to get through them on a fairly regular basis. But anyway, so back to the sutta, right? So paying attention to attractive, beautiful things, right? That person you're really attracted to, and you're like observing, looking about, oh, their hair, and they go, oh, I like the way this looks and that looks, and I like the way that body part, is shaped, and this body part is shaped, and all these kind of things, right? Getting really wrapped up in that. That's how you increase sensual desire. Same thing with, oh, a croissant. Oh, that's so croissant. It's so flaky, and oh, it's cooked just right. And it's oh man, and you can put some good eggs on it, and then maybe not eggs, but maybe the bacon, or ham. That's a good one, right? That is increasing, paying attention to beautiful, attractive things, being focused in on them, getting propagating them, papancha, over and over and over. All right. A millionaire and Adriana are like, nah, hamburgers and ice cream. Yeah, but it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter sexual desire, food desire, whatever is pleasant experience of this. Music could be music. Oh, I want to listen to this music. Oh, I like this music. Whatever it is, pleasant experience through the senses. Becoming wrapped up in it, getting involved in its signs and features. That is how you increase kamachanda. That is how you feed the hindrance of sensual desire. So now, and what bhikkhus is the nutriment for the arising of unarisen ill will, vyapada, and for the increase and expansion of arisen ill will. There is bhikkhus, the sign of the repulsive. Frequently giving careless attention to it is a nutriment for the arising of unarisen ill will, and for the increasing and expansion of arisen ill will. So this is interesting, right? Because one of the practices, the super practices, is practicing, focusing on what is unpleasant. But if you get too obsessed with it, you go too far with it, and you go too far with focusing on agitations, then ill will arises, hatred arises, anger arises, right? Because you're focusing on it. You're propagating it, you're building it, you're thinking more about, oh, that person, if they ever alone with them in an empty alleyway, I'm going to do this to them. No, I'm going to do that. That's where they deserve that one better. And they're going like this, right? That is building up ill will. That's feeding ill will. And what bhikkhus is the nourishment for the arising of unarisen sloth and torpor, and for the increase and expansion of arisen sloth and torpor. There are bhikkhus discontent, lethargy, lazy stretching, drowsiness after meals. I think I'm going to take a nap. Sluggishness of mind, frequently giving careless attention to these. Or like, oh, yeah, this feels really good. Oh, a nap will feel really good, right? Propagating them, thinking about it, enjoying it, focusing on it, right? Is the nutriment for the arising of sloth and torpor, for the increased expansion of sloth and torpor. And what bhikkhus is the nutriment for the arising of unarisen restlessness and remorse, and for the increase and expansion of restlessness and remorse. There is bhikkhus unsettledness of mind. Frequently giving careless attention to it is the nutriment for the arising of unarisen restlessness and remorse, and for the increase and expansion of arisen restlessness and remorse. So this is interesting. Obsessing over your monkey mind, right? Getting wrapped up in it all the time. Obsessing. Oh, this Mao, yeah. Letting your thoughts, chasing after your thoughts, all of these things. That is how you feed restlessness and remorse. If you stop doing that, then you'll have less restlessness and remorse, right? You'll start to starve it. It's interesting. It's in some ways, to be honest with you, it's hard for me to remember a lot of what a restless mind is like, because my baseline is not really, I vaguely still remember kind of how it was, but it's not quite the same. Yeah, because I practiced for a long time and I've developed and stuff like that. And my mind just doesn't have the baseline of restlessness that it used to. So that's a benefit, right? That's what you keep practicing. And this is what you'll see. Show hide. What is this? This is interesting. I don't know what happened there. Let me just check the chat here. Elaine had some s'mores. All right. All right, just comments. Okay, I'll keep going. And what bhikkhus is the nutriment for the arising of unarisen doubt and for the increase and expansion of arisen doubt. There are bhikkhus things that are the basis for doubt. Frequently giving careless attention to them is the nutriment for the arising of unarisen doubt and for the increase and expansion of doubt. I don't know about this Buddha Dhamma Sangha. I'm a horrible meditator. I don't want to do this. I'm never gonna have a calm mind. I'm gonna focus on that. Focus. Yeah, of course, you're just gonna build your doubt. You're just gonna build your doubt. Instead of, I know I'm not perfect, but I'm going to practice, dang it. I'm going to do the best that I can. I don't give a crap about doubt. Right? And you'd be like, yeah, okay. And you move forward. So, now let's do the denourishment of the hindrances. What is the denourishment of sensual desire? That is the sign of the foulness. Frequently giving careful attention. Yoniso manasikara. This is wise attention. So you are investigating it with wisdom. You're developing wisdom from it, right? This is like you're practicing, developing, seeing this. You're paying attention to it with wise attention. Big difference. Yoni is the womb, right? So in many ways, Yoniso manasikara is paying attention, trying to see the root, trying to see deep down, to understand something from its root, right? From its birth, to understand something, its cause for its arrival, its arising, and its cause for its ceasing. The denourishment for ill will. There are bhikkhus, liberation of the mind through metta. Metta ceto vimutti. So practicing metta, giving careful attention to practicing metta, goes against ill will. What about sloth and torpor? They are bhikkhus, elements of arousal, the element of endeavor. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this practice. Let's do it. The element of exertion, frequently giving careful attention to these, will denourishes sloth and torpor. And what bhikkhus is denourishment of restlessness and remorse. There are bhikkhus, peacefulness of mind, frequently giving careful attention to that. Okay? That's important, right? Don't focus on, when your mind is monkey mind, ignore it. Don't focus on it. When your mind is peaceful and calm, focus on that. Investigate that. Oh, this is so nice. This is so peaceful. I like this mind. What can I do to develop this mind? That's how you do it. Don't focus on the monkey mind. Focus with careful attention on when your mind is calm and peaceful. This is one of the reasons why when I do guided meditations, that I encourage you guys to investigate your mind during the practice and also to reflect on the change of your mind from before and after. All right. So let's finish off. What about doubt? There are bhikkhus, wholesome and unwholesome states, blamable and blameless states, inferior and superior states, dark and bright states. Frequently giving careful attention to them is denourishment of doubt. So you're investigating very deeply. You have doubt. You see, oh, this is skillful. This is unskillful. Let me do the skillful. Right? So the more you investigate and understand what is skillful, the less doubts you have. The less doubt in your own ability to do the practice, the less doubt in the triple gem, right? Less doubt in general. So that's the denourishment. There's more to that sutta, but I'm not going to go over that in the interest of time and in the interest of a bunch of people have asked questions. So we're going to end there for that. But that's Samyutta Nikaya 4651. Let me check here. Jason Heath with croissants in the chat. Oh, Jason. Dumb unrelated question. How often do you shower? That's an interesting question. When I was in lay life, I would do it every day. I went through this interesting period where when I was living in the kutis of Bhavana with my wood stove, I was so dried out in the winter because I was showering every day and all this stuff. And I was looking at like, what do you do to deal with like your dried out skin? And like one of them is like, don't shower every day and don't shower with hot water. Right? It's like, okay. And then I started reading about how actually showering every day hurts a lot of the biome that you have. Right? So when I was like in lay life, I showered every day, especially when I was fat, like, cause I was so worried about being, gross and smelly to people. So I would shower like twice a day when I was fat. But now as a monk, as long as like here, while I'm dealing with chickens, I shower twice a day because there's all kinds of stuff. You're dealing with chickens and chicken poop and all that stuff twice a day. But if I don't have to do work, once every 3 or 4 days, I shower. No need to do it otherwise, right? Because showering too much is actually harmful to your biome. So in many ways, we over Purell, right? We over sanitize, we overwash, we overdo all these over things. Right. One of the monks' rules actually was that you couldn't shower more than once per 2 weeks. Or was it more? Was it a fortnight? It was a fortnight. And then it was lowered a little bit more than that. But there is such a thing as showering too much for monks, especially if you're doing it in the stream where the king goes to bathe. Not a good idea. All right. Amelia says, is there any music that can be considered Buddhist? No, not really. There's really no such thing as Buddhist music. All the different cultures that are Buddhist cultures have developed some sort of music, but there's no like Buddhist music. There's no like, the Buddhist like, okay, this is the type of music, no, there's no such thing. Each of the different cultures have a different music and different ways of doing things. Amelia has, I'm living proof that you could be drowsy and restless at the same time. Douse, yeah, good idea. Good point, Douse. How was I in the past? How will I be in the future? All these things, all these wasted questions. Elaine says, is it okay to just do walking meditation? I can't find any peace in sitting. My suggestion would be to not totally abandon sitting meditation. Even if you have to sit in a chair or on a couch or whatever, I would still suggest doing it. But if walking meditation seems to be very beneficial for you and you like doing it, then you could do it more if you want, more than sitting. But I don't encourage abandoning one posture, because the Buddha taught us to practice in all postures, right? Standing, sitting, lying down, and walking. So we should practice as much as we can in all of those postures. Well, you remind me of, see, Elaine, sitting meditation and I have always had a checkered history. We've never been on the best of terms, especially the first 7-8 years of my practice. What changed my life, what changed my practice, what changed everything was walking meditation. I probably wouldn't be a monk today if it wasn't for walking meditation. Right? So when I found walking meditation, it was so powerful, so impactful for me. There was this kind of temptation. It was like, and even Bhante Silananda, one of the monks who I lived with, he says, what's the monk's name? Some monk got awakened just from walking meditation. I'm like, ooh, like that's justification not to, but I read the suttas and I'm like, yeah, but that's not really what the Buddha encouraged. Like, you want to practice in all postures. So I will never give anybody license to completely and utterly practice in only one posture. You should try to practice in all the postures as much as you can. But if one posture seems to be very beneficial for you and you kind of do that a bit more than the others, that's okay. All right. Okay. So I think what we can do now is the chat has stopped. Let's do our guided meditation now. And then when we come out of it, we'll have about 15 minutes. We'll do a little bit of reading from the verses, and then we'll end. So put yourself in a comfortable and stable position. Whatever posture, whatever way to sit works best for you. Begin by bringing your awareness to your feet. We will do a little bit of body scanning at first to scan through our body and set ourselves up in a comfortable and stable position. And also to gradually and slowly bring our awareness from the external to the internal, from the room that we're in and the computer, the phone, and the live chat and all that, to what's going on in our mind and body. When I say to bring your awareness, this means to focus in on a sensation or feeling that you can observe from that part of the body, such as the feeling of the feet pressing against the floor, the thighs pressing against the chair, etc. These clues can give you little inklings into whether your posture is going to cause you pain as the meditation goes on or imbalance. So we take some time before we sit to do this so that we can sit with less pain and less problems. Bring your awareness up through your ankles and your calves. Bring your awareness up through your knees and your thighs. Always questioning how the position of your body is affecting your posture. Investigating your posture to know how the body works and what causes less pain. Bring your awareness to your hips, pelvic area. The position of your pelvis affects the posture of both the lower and the upper body. So this is a very important area to focus in on. When you sit on a cushion, you want to make sure that your sits bones, your buttocks, is evenly distributed on the cushion. That your pelvic floor is providing a stable, balanced posture, not causing your upper body to slouch or lean, causing strain in your spine and your back. When you're done setting up your lower body in a comfortable and stable position, move to your abdomen and your chest. Checking to see how they are positioned. If your spine is resting naturally in its neutral position. You should think of your posture like a house. The lower body is the foundation upon which the house rests. Each level rests upon the level below it. And good posture depends on the level below it. The better your posture, the less strain, and the longer you will be able to sit with less problems. Bring your awareness to your shoulders. Check to see that they're hanging loosely, not scrunched up and tight. Down through to your elbows and your hands. Check to see that the position of the elbows and hands are in a comfortable position that supports your posture, does not support the upper body slouching or leaning. Bring your awareness up to your head. Check to see that the chin is parallel to the floor, that the head is not leaning or slouching one way or the other. And when you're done setting up your body in a comfortable and stable position, let the body go and take 3 deep breaths. And then let the breath go. From here on in, you do not wish to manipulate or control the breath in any way. This body has been breathing from the moment you were born and will continue to do so until the second you die. It doesn't need you to do its job. Your job is to simply observe and investigate This body breathing in, and this body breathing out. We come to our meditation with many responsibilities, worries, and burdens, family and friends, work and school. Thoughts and fears of the past and the future. Many things that will seek to come to our mind as we practice. For the time of this meditation, we practice laying down the burden, letting go. Just as the mighty Atlas holds the world on his shoulders, so too do we each hold our world on our shoulders, a heavy burden. For the time of this practice, lay your world down and follow the breath. The breath is home. It's always there, whether we're paying attention to it or not. It's always there waiting for us to return, to spend some time with it, to calm our minds. As you're following your breath, you will get distracted. This is normal. You did not fail or do anything wrong. Your mind is showing you how it works, showing you its craving, trying to escape the breath to the past or the future, to the other side of the planet or galaxy, or maybe something external like a sound distracted you away. Whatever caused the distraction, once you start to be aware that you have been distracted, marshal your mindfulness and acknowledge that you are fully distracted away from the breath. Practice letting go of the distraction and then return to the breath. We practice letting go, not getting agitated or angry at the distraction, nor getting wrapped up and excited about it. simply abandoning it, letting it go, not giving it any energy, letting it be on its way, and returning to the breath. Acknowledge, let go, and return over and over. If you get distracted 100 times in a minute, acknowledge, let go, and return 100 times in a minute. This is the practice. The more we return to the breath, the longer we stay with the breath without distraction, the more calm our mind becomes. Tranquility begins to grow. Lay down your burdens. Acknowledge, let go, and return. Keep following the breath as I give these instructions on Metta. The practice of Metta uses both words and visuals, but the words and visuals are a means to an end. The purpose of practicing Metta is to develop a mind free of ill will, with warm-hearted feelings in the mind of friendship for all beings, without exception. When we do the guided meditation, I will offer both words and visuals. You can choose to use either or both, whatever works for you. Well, let's start with the person whom we often may have the most agitation towards, who we may be the most critical and judgmental of, who we may even hate the most. That person is ourselves. When developing limitless goodwill for all beings, we cannot give it away what we don't have. So let's first start for a little bit of time developing limitless goodwill for ourselves. If you'd like, you can imagine a sphere around you. And as we practice, permeate and fill that sphere with your metta. You can repeat after me. May I find happiness. May I find peace. May I live in friendship with all beings. May I find release from suffering. When we say words of metta, we don't say them like a mantra, trying to say words fast, losing their meaning. Whenever we say lines of metta, we want to do so as honestly and sincerely as possible, with the desire that this metta line come to pass and be true. If you'd like another visual, you can visualize yourself in front of you like in a mirror. And you can pervade your metta to that image. Have warm and kind, compassionate, non-judgmental thoughts towards yourself like you would your best friend. Repeat after me. May I find happiness. May I find peace. May I live in friendship with all beings. May I find release from suffering. Now that we've permeated our sphere with metta, let's increase that sphere to encompass the entirety of the building that we are in. May all beings in this building, all of us, find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. There are many beings in this building, humans and non-humans, little creatures. We share our dwellings with many beings. We don't want to leave any beings out with our metta, with our limitless goodwill. Spread your sphere to encompass the entirety of the town that you are in. May all of us in this town find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere of metta to encompass the entirety of the state, region, province that you reside in. May all of us in this state, region, or province find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Now bring your awareness out to encompass the entirety of whatever country you're in. May all of us in this country find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere to encompass the entirety of this planet Earth. May all of us on this planet, trillions and trillions of beings, under the ground, on the land, in the ocean, in the sky, many beings. May all of us find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere to encompass the entirety of the Milky Way galaxy. With billions and billions, perhaps trillions of planets. Whatever beings may exist in this Milky Way galaxy, may all of us find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Now continue to spread your sphere to encompass the universe and beyond, wherever they may be existing beings in the samsaric state. May all of us in this samsaric state find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Friends, we don't really think that all beings will hold hands and sing Kumbaya and be at peace. This is not a practical or possible thing. We practice metta so that we can abandon ill will in our own minds, so that we can have limitless goodwill and friendliness for all beings that we may meet and beings that we will never meet. We never want to limit our metta. All beings equally, everywhere, within our sphere of metta. We wish that they be happy, peaceful, friendly, and free of suffering. And that they may practice in such a way so that they can be these things. Slowly start to open your eyes. Come back to the external, the room that you're in, the live stream, your Dhamma friends in the chats. Check in with the state of your mind. See if you can compare it from the state of your mind before your meditation to after. Elaine, don't worry, you did not monopolize the party. Very good. Glad you asked questions. No problem. Jason, other than the lion's posture, the Buddha didn't talk about specifically any kind of lying posture. The lion posture is essentially what he and the disciples did when they practiced. Well, I wouldn't say it's all about questions and answers. Question and answers are a part of it for sure. But we got it. We had a good mix today. We had sutta readings and questions and chantings and meditation. It was good. So we have a couple minutes. Let's read from our Samyutta Nikaya verses. We'll probably only get through a couple because we only have about 5-6 minutes, but we'll do a little reading. Wealth. What's a person's best wealth? What brings happiness when practiced well? What's the sweetest taste of all? The one who they say has the best life. How do they live? Faith here is a person's best wealth. The teaching brings happiness when practiced well. Truth is the sweetest taste of all. The one who they say has the best life lives by wisdom. 74. Rain. What's the best of things that rise? And what's the finest of things that fall? And what of things that go forth? And who's the finest speaker? The seed's the best of things that rise. Rain's the finest of things that falls. Cattle of the things that go forth. And a child is the finest speaker. And then another response. Knowledge is the best of things that rise. Ignorance is the finest of things that falls. The Sangha is of the things that go forth. And the Buddha is the finest speaker. Afraid. Why are so many people here afraid? When the path has been taught with so many dimensions, I ask you, Gautama, whose wisdom is vast, standing on what need one not fear the next world? When speech and mind are directed right, and you don't do anything bad with the body, while dwelling at home with plenty of food and drink, faithful, gentle, charitable, and kind, standing on these 4 principles, standing on the teaching, one need not fear the next world. I don't know how common lying posture was. You know, the Buddha talks about, in the suttas, you see like the monks and the Buddha walking back and forth, doing walking meditation. They're sitting. Very rarely do you see them, anybody but the Buddha, doing lion posture meditation. But I mean, the Buddha doesn't go into specific. There's nothing specific in the suttas that gives a specific practice of how to do walking meditation. Right. So that's why there's like 80,000 different ways of, maybe 84,000 different ways of practicing walking meditation. Same thing with lying down, I guess. What's this about children? Where did I say something I didn't remember? So one more. Getting old. What gets old? What doesn't grow old? What's called the deviation? What's a roadblock for skillful qualities? And what is the end of day of night? What's the stain of celibacy? And what's the waterless bath? How many holes are there in the world where one's wealth leaks out? We've come to ask the Buddha, how are we to understand this? The physical form of mortals gets old, but their name and clan don't. Lust is called a deviation, and greed obstructs skillful qualities. Youth is ending day and night. Women are the stain of celibacy, to which this generation clings. Austerity and celibacy are the waterless bath. There are 6 holes in the world where one's wealth leaks out: laziness and negligence, lack of initiative and lack of restraint, sleepiness and sloth, You should completely get rid of these holes. All right. Okay, so I think we're good. A child is the finest speaker. Good question. I don't know. The one that says the children, whoever said the children say everything, KJ might have it right. It's a good question. Yeah, it probably was a David that said that, Adriana. You're probably right. But I think we can call it a night. Let's do our sharing of merits chant. Dukkha patta chane dukkha, baya patta chane baya, soka patta chane soka, hontu sabbe pipaniyo, etavata cha ammehi, sampadang punya sampadang, sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhiya, akasata chabumata deva naga mahiddika, punyang tang anumoditva, charang rakantu sasanang. May the suffering ones be suffering free, and the fearful fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we've thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas, nagas, and yakas of mighty power, share in this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, friends. Then we come to the end of another Dhammapalooza. Thank you for sticking with us the whole time. And much appreciated. Good to see that we had a very good discussion in the chat today. We had good questions, a good variety. It was a very good Dhammapalooza. Come visit us again next Monday, Dhammapalooza, every Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Also, I'm doing what they call morning monastery experience, giving you a little taste of the morning session at a monastery every morning at 8:30, Monday through Friday. Once I leave the farm, that schedule will change. But for now, it's Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern for about 20 minutes to a half hour, with some chanting, some precepts, and a little bit of a Dhamma talk to start your day off with Dhamma. Okay, friends. Until next time, Sukhi Hotu, may you be happy. Practice well and be well. All right. Yes, if you, we do have a online community on the Discord platform. If you are interested in the study and practice of the orally Buddhist texts, the four Nikayas, and the fifth, a little bit of the fifth, if you're interested in studying that and practicing living the Noble Eightfold Path and with that as a framework, you're free to join us. You can check out the email that Adriana put in the chat, mugaseka.com, and send us an email. Okay, friends, until next time, may you have a spiritually successful and peaceful day. Sukhi Hotu week. Sukhi Hotu, may you be happy.